Before you watch this video, make sure that you've watched the video on completing the square. Now, sketching a quadratic using completing the square. This is quite a useful tool for quickly sketching a graph, and it identifies several points that lie on the curve. So it says, by completing the square, find the coordinates of the turning point of the curve y equals x squared plus 6x plus 11, and use this point to sketch the graph y equals x squared plus 6x plus 11. So the first step here is we need to complete the square on x squared plus 6x plus 11. Now remember, to do this you need to halve the coefficient of x. So firstly you get x plus 3 squared. Now if you remember rightly from when you watched the video on completing the square, when we expand this part here, we're going to end up with an extra 9 that we do not require. So we subtract 9, and we've also got that plus 11 we already had. Now we just need to tidy that up. So we get x plus 3 squared, add 2. And that is the completed square answer for what we're given. So we can also put that is equal to y. Now, a couple of key things here. Now the turning point it refers to in the question, if you think of any quadratic graph, it curves like this, and this point here, where it swaps from going down to up, is the turning point. And this turning point happens to be the x component here, the opposite sign of it. So instead of plus 3 it'll be minus 3, and the minimum point that this ever reaches is basically when this bracket is 0. So if we put minus 3 into this bracket, minus 3 plus 3 is 0, and 0 squared is 0. So our minimum point, or the y component here, is 2. So they're two important things we can find out from completing the square. Now let's just draw a better diagram, because we've actually got one more piece of information we know about this graph. So we've got a y, and we've got our x-axis. Okay, now as I said, the turning point is always at the minus of that, so the opposite sign of that, so minus 3, so it's minus 3, and the minimum point is going to be at 2, so 2, so that's the minimum point. And we also know one other thing from the graph, and this is the thing that people often forget from the equation. When we're plotting y equals x squared plus 6x plus 11, this plus 11 refers to the point at which the curve crosses the y-axis, and this is the same for any curve that you're given. The value on its own is where it crosses the y-axis. So this graph is going to cross the y-axis at 11. And the last thing we know is, because it's not a minus x squared, it's a positive x squared, it's going to be that kind of shape. And we should really write down at that point is minus 3, 2. And that's all the information that you're required to give on a sketching graph style question. Maybe you might want to label the graph y equals x squared plus 6x plus 11, but we can read the turning point from equation if we complete the square on it, and that's what we've done here.